everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Deedee. I live in North Texas with my fiance Kelly and her daughter and our 3 cats and dog. And I do weekly vlogs and travel vlogs and now bookish vlogs apparently. But I did mention in my last video that I've been in kind of a reading slump as of late. So September was like the first month where I actually was reading again and kind of got me out of that slump. So I'm gonna recap what I read in September. My reads last month included several audiobooks that I listened to on my massive commute to work, to and from every day. So the first book I actually didn't finish in September. I finished it at the end of August, but it was the first book I'd finished in months. So I'm gonna include it. But this was the first one that captured my attention and kind of got me out of my reading slump. And this was First Light Winds by Elston. This is a thriller. It's about Evie Porter, but Evie Porter doesn't actually exist. She works for this mysterious guy, Mr. Schmidt, and she gets assigned these jobs where she has to either get information or steal back something for these different people. So her current mark is her boyfriend, fake boyfriend, like from her perspective, named Ryan Sumner. And she never really knows what the motive is behind why she has to do these things, but she makes a lot of money apparently. So that's why she does it. But obviously things are not gonna go like the usual way with this particular job. And it had a lot of twists and turns and kind of kept me guessing like who Mr. Smith really was throughout the book. Ultimately, I was wrong. I will just say that. But this was a 5-star read for me. And those have been kind of few and far between. So yeah, I really recommend it. Really good. It's been like blowing up TikTok and Instagram and all over the place, like Goodreads and all of those things. So definitely a popular book and I can see why. So the next book I finished actually during September, and it was Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman, who wrote Bird Box, which is what the Netflix movie starring Sandra Bullock was based on. And it was really big about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe less. But this one I got on NetGalley. I gave this a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. It definitely had like the whole creepy vibe. Normally with horror books, they don't scare me that much. They don't scare me like an actual horror film would, but this one was pretty creepy. It's told from the perspective of a young girl, probably 5 or 6 years old. And she sees this ghost that she refers to as Other Mommy and that lives in her closet. And then the whole thing kind of blows up with the whole family. But that whole like kids and like paranormal thing, it's always very freaky. And this was also considered one of 2024's best horror books on, let me see, from Esquire. So, Esquire magazine. So definitely recommend this one as well. I'm like thinking back, I'm surprised I didn't give it a 5 out of 5. It did have like that unputdownable feeling for me. So I had a really hard time like going back to real life in between, but it was really creepy. It was very scary. And so I didn't like to read it when I was home alone at night. The next book was Death Overdue by Allison Brook, and is the first cozy mystery in the Haunted Library series. And this one I actually listened to on audio. It has a friendly ghost. It has a main character that lives in a cozy cottage. I love a cozy cottage and a cozy mystery. It just makes the book for me. I didn't love it overall, but I liked it enough where I would probably listen to the next book, but probably not read it with my eyes, but listen to. Number 4 is going to be a book that I sent her a future vlog around because it was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I think I said last week, I'm not a fantasy girl at all. There have been a handful of fantasy books that I've really enjoyed. This was not one of them. One of my best friends, Elizabeth, chose this book for our book club last month. We were actually supposed to have that meeting in May, and I don't think anybody had read the book. Most of us are teachers, and so May is just a terrible time to like try and read a book. But she is a huge Sarah J. Maas fan. She like became this fantasy girly overnight. And she had asked all of us to read it and to also read the second book in the series. I have not done that yet. It'll be a while. But I tried reading it like in hard copy. I just couldn't do it. And so it did help me to actually listen to it. I got it read a lot quicker that way, and I was able to kind of take it in a little bit better. Just didn't love it. I didn't love it. I know that's an unpopular opinion. I think I gave this a 3 out of 5 on Goodreads. I'm trying to think like what else I have to say about that. I know Sarah J. Maas is like huge, and like fantasy is a huge genre right now. It's just, if you're looking for fantasy books and fantasy content, I'm probably not your gal. Just gonna put that out there. It was fine. I didn't hate it. And when we talked about it at a book club, I even had some predictions about some of the characters that, you know, I got a hint I was probably right about, like in the future of the series. So I will say that. But I'm just not a fairies and fantasy kind of girl. Give me a good T.J. Klune, the Cerulean Sea book, whatever that was called. That was one of my very favorite books of all time. That's absolutely fantasy as well. Yeah, that book I loved. The Life of Addie LaRue, is that what it's called? Loved that one. This one, just the fairies and dragons kind of lore just doesn't appeal to me. But anyway, that was book number 3 for September. So the last book I read in September, my last finish for September, was also an audiobook. It was also the first in a cozy mystery series. It was the first book in the Beyond the Page bookstore series. It was called Murder by the Book by Lauren Elliott. I gave this one a 3 out of 5 as well, but I did like it a little bit more than the Allison Brooks, than the other one. I did like it a little bit more. She was like in this big antiquated mansion that she inherited and runs a rare and antiquated bookstore, I think, if I'm not mixing up on my mysteries right now. So, cat. So, yeah, that was what I read this month. I don't have a whole lot to say about those just because they were okay. They were cozies. They make me feel kind of cozy. So I do like to read them. Meanwhile, I've been reading also See What I've Done by Sarah Schmidt, which is a retelling of Lizzie Borden murders. About 62% of the way through that one, kind of picking it up here and there. I'm still reading The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, which is the first in a kind of supernatural romance series, rom-com. Cat. And I also have been reading Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, but it got returned to the library again already. And it's the second time it's been returned to the library since I have started reading it. I'm not loving this one like I love Riley Sager's other books. I'm having a really hard time getting into it. I think it could just be my brain being really addled and distracted. But I'll get it from the library again and finish it eventually. So anyway, so that is all that I read in September. I'm hoping for a better month this month, October. But I will come back at the end of the month or at the beginning of November and let you know how October went. So thank you for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Tell me what your favorite read was in September. I would like to know that. And I will see you next time. Bye.